Hey everyone, welcome back to RetroBreak. Today I've got a whole bunch of Game Boy games here from Limited Run. So I've actually been getting these through the post for the past few months now. Well, maybe since last year at this point. I've ordered a lot, but I've never actually opened them. So I thought I would come here today and do an unboxing and a first impressions kind of video about all of these different Limited Run games. And there are actually a lot more that I've got ordered that haven't arrived just yet. So we've got an interesting range of games here. We've got 4 games which are basically re-releases of older titles. So we have Tailgater by Natsume. We have Boy and His Blob, or The Rescue of Blobette, starring a Boy and His Blob, which is the one that just came through the post the other day. That kind of reminded me that I needed to make this video. We have Amazing Penguin, and we have Spanky's Quest. So they're all the original Game Boy games that have been re-released by Limited Run. We've also got Shantae here for the Game Boy Color, and the interesting thing about that one is the fact that I did actually pick up this special edition here, so we'll get this opened up as well, and obviously check out how all the games play and whether there's any differences compared to the originals and stuff. And then, probably most interestingly, for a lot of you watching anyway, here's 2 homebrew games released by Limited Run. So we've got one called Phobos Dare, which I've been waiting for a long time. I was very surprised when this one came through the post recently. And another one called Melon Journey as well. And as well as these, I've also got like another maybe 6 or 7 still waiting to be delivered from Limited Run. They take forever sending their games out, so I think I've got a good enough selection here. So where should we start? Let's start with the original Game Boy games and work our way up from there. So the first one is Spanky's Quest. So let's get this opened up and see how it compares to an original Game Boy game. So the game we've got is Wario Land 2, and compared to the Limited Run, obviously the box is exactly the same size. The original Game Boy box feels a little sturdier. This is obviously a really high quality box. Really nice, like near mint condition, but the cardboard used on the original Game Boy box feels thicker compared to the Limited Run one. Obviously you can't see that on camera, but when you feel the two side by side, it's definitely a lot stronger on the original. And having a look inside, let's compare the cardboard inserts. So you can see the difference there, the original on the right and the new one on the left. The new one actually seems better because of the way it holds the cartridge, like the cartridge can neatly fit in that gap there, whereas on the original it kind of floats around a little bit. Well, I suppose with the originals you had those plastic cartridge protectors, which the Limited Run ones don't seem to have, surprisingly, considering most homebrew games actually come with those cart protectors. Anyway, there's a look at the cart itself. I'm very surprised to see that it's actually bright blue, which is really nice. And the quality on the label seems fantastic too, so there you go. Hopefully you can get a nice look at that. And I'll go and find the original version of this game to compare it with too. There we go. For a comparison, there's the original cart and the Limited Run cart. As you can see, the colours are actually a little bit... See if I can get them to focus on that camera, because that camera's a little nicer. There we go. So yeah, as you can see, the colours on the Limited Run label itself are a bit brighter. It's got rid of all the copyright information on there, which is pretty cool. So actually, I actually prefer the cart for the Limited Run version there. I don't really have the instruction manual to compare with, but we can have a quick flick through. So here's what it looks like. Really nice. Basically the same as like a traditional Nintendo instruction manual. In fact, does Wario Land have one? Yes, it does. There you go. So that is what they're basing that page on there, which is pretty cool. Let's move them out of the way. I won't go through I won't go through the manuals for all of the games, just for a few of them to see what they're like. So it's all in black and white, which obviously doesn't really matter as it's a black and white Game Boy game anyway. Print seems good, nice quality paper, no sort of errors. Interestingly, the screenshots for the games are a little low resolution, a little low quality there, which is kind of surprising to see. Maybe it's just a complete remake of the original manual. I haven't got the original one to compare it with. There's some nice artwork for the different characters and items. And there's another little section there. Interestingly, it's all in just English as well, because obviously the games usually came with thicker manuals which had all sorts of different languages on them, so to see it just in English is kind of unusual. Maybe it's based on the American manuals because I think they only had English on them. So let's put everything back in and let's boot the game up and see whether there's any like splash screen or anything that says limited run. Okay, interestingly, the Analog Pocket actually knows what the game is, and it just says it's from Natsume. It doesn't say anything about limited run. Woo! All the bonuses. Well, I could play that game forever because I really enjoy Spanky's Quest, but unfortunately it seems like there's nothing really changed about the game at all. It just seems like it's the basic ROM put onto a brand new cartridge, which is kind of cool, but also it would have been nice if they'd done a few little extras, and I know they are doing some because I've got Trip World DX on the way, which is really exciting to see that game coming back in full colour. So that was Spanky's Quest. Let's have a look at Amazing Penguin, and this one is also by Natsume, so I'm expecting exactly the same treatment here. So let's pull everything out and see what we've got. Same kind of instruction manual as last time, with a few nice little illustrations and the same really low resolution screenshots as well. So I'm presuming that these are just one-for-one recreations of the original. And another really nicely coloured Game Boy cartridge, and the cartridge itself is really high quality, and it actually says limited run games instead of Nintendo Game Boy, which is really cool. So there you go, quick look at the front and the back. I will give it a quick boot up just to see if there's anything different, but I doubt it. There we go. But yeah, once again, basically exactly the same as the original game. It even says 1990 on the title screen. So next up we have a game that I've never actually played before. I've actually already got and played the other two. But this one is called Tailgater, and apparently this is actually a really good game. And this one, as you can see, is still sealed. So let's get that seal off and let's have a look and see whether there's anything different about this one. This one's actually more of a recent release from Limited Run as well, so I wonder whether they improved from these ones that they released last year. Let's find out. I know, I should open that in a nicer way. Oh, there we go. We can see what they look like, how they came in the box. They actually came in little bits of bubble wrap, which is pretty cool. There we go. And this one features a really nice green cartridge, which looks really, really cool. So very happy to have that. And again, I presume the instruction manual is basically the same. Again, it's another Natsume game, so they must have had some sort of license from Natsume to be able to re-release all their Game Boy classics, which is really cool. So let's have a quick try of Tailgater. And this one's from 1991, so a year after Amazing Penguin. So there we go,
Cool.
It works
Well,
fine. It seems like a really fun puzzle platformer, so I'll definitely be playing more of that one very soon. So I'm glad I've finally got around to trying these out. And we've got one more, which is the follow-up to a really cool NES game, A Boy and His Blob. And again, this one is still sealed, so let's get this seal open. For some reason, this seal feels a lot stronger than the last one. Maybe they've improved their wrapping process. There we go. Throw that away. Any guesses for what colour the cartridge is going to be? It is another grey one. Oh, weird. This one doesn't have a colour. This is just plain Game Boy grey. Well, maybe that's not a good example. There we go. Obviously, there's Game Boy games everywhere in this room. There's a better comparison for the colour. So it's basically a one-for-one, exactly the same shade of grey. We have an instruction manual that's not from Natsume for once. Same kind of layout. Looks like they might have redone this manual because that screenshot looks a lot clearer. And there's actually photos of jelly beans in there, which is pretty funny. And then these ones are blue, which is interesting. I was never any good at A Boy and His Blob. I wonder whether this Game Boy one's any easier to comprehend. No. I have no clue. I don't have anything to give him. A coconut? Do you want a coconut? Why am I just running all the way from one side to the other? Have a coconut. Coconut equals coconut. Okay. How does that help? I need to give him a key, I suppose. I don't know what's going on with the controls. Anyway, that's enough of a Boy and His Blob. I knew I didn't want to play this one, and that just goes to prove it. I do not have the time to work out what all those different things do. That one is going back in the box forever. So that was it for the original Game Boy games. Let's move on to the Game Boy Color one. Let's check out Shantae. So let's check out what else is in here. There we go. So it says, Limited Run Retro Collection. This has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. It's kind of dusty. And I did open this to have a quick look inside. So we have some nice acrylic stands for all the different Shantae characters. And a Shantae pin badge. And a gold coin as well. And there's some other stuff under here. Obviously that's where the game was. We also got one of those limited run trading cards. And of course one of those little magazines that they give you every time. So we'll throw that away for now. And the other interesting thing in here at the bottom is a original soundtrack for, I presume, the Game Boy Color version. So there you go. That's a really nice looking disc as well. And there's a list of tracks on the back. And I'm really excited that Limited Run announced recently, in collaboration with WayForward, that they're actually resurrecting the cancelled Game Boy Advance Shantae game. That is just so exciting. I'm so excited to get that. I'm going to order it as soon as possible. But anyway, that's what comes in the box. And let's take a look at what comes in the actual game box itself. And obviously I don't actually own the original Shantae for the Game Boy Color, so I can't really do a comparison, unfortunately, as much as I wish I could. Maybe one day, but that game's just crazy expensive, so at least this one kind of justifies having a limited run re-release, whereas some of the other Game Boy ones are pretty easy to find games anyway, so at least this one kind of justifies its price and re-release. And it also has a really nice full colour instruction manual too. And I did already play and complete the Shantae for the Game Boy Color a long time ago when it was actually released on the 3DS eShop. Oh yeah, before I put it in the console. Here you go. Have a look at the nice Game Boy Color cartridge. I love the fact that they kept the see-through plastic, but I don't know whether you can tell on that camera or not, but it is actually slightly purple compared to a regular Game Boy Color game. Let me just get one. There you go. So for a comparison between a regular Game Boy Color game, that might make it a bit more apparent that it is in fact a very slight shade of purple, which is really cool. So let's get this put in the Game Boy, or the analog pocket in this case. And I did already play this one, so I know there's something different about this. Have a look at this intro. There we go, we actually get a new splash screen that says Limited Run Games this time. But apart from that, everything else is exactly the same as far as I'm aware. I did play it a little bit, but I didn't really get very far yet. But obviously, it's a great game. Highly recommend the Shantae series if you're interested. But yeah, enjoy the nice Game Boy Color graphics and sprites. It looks really nice. Anyway, highly recommend playing Shantae, and definitely recommend checking out the Game Boy Advance version when that comes up on Limited Run very soon. So that's it for re-releases. Now let's check out some of the homebrew games. Alright, so let's check out the first one here, called Phobos Dare. And I have no idea what this game's about at all. It seems like some sort of horror RPG kind of game, so let's get this opened up. And shall we place any bets on what colour the cartridge is going to be? I think it'll be a black one, but let's see. No, it is grey, same as the other games. Oh, nice cover for the instruction manual there. But first, let's take a look at the box so you can check out some of the artwork on it. There we go. And let's have a look in here. Authorization required to read this file. Uh-oh. And some nice blood splats on the Game Boy there. That's pretty cool. Triangle. Cool character. There we go, there's a little bit of a map there as well. So let's give this a quick go and see what it's like. And let me know whether you'd like me to do a full review of either of these games. Because although I'm not doing as much homebrew stuff as I did before, I don't plan to eliminate it from the channel completely. So if either of these seem interesting, maybe I can give it a go again. Well, they really want you to jump really high in this. Okay, weird. So it's not really an RPG, it's more like a platformer with harvesting mechanics. And I died. I'll leave it there, but it seems like an interesting game. Again, let me know whether you'd like to see any more of this. And now let's check out the last game in this set, which is called Melon Journey. Here it is. Really nice, cute and colourful box there, as you can see. So let's get this opened up. And apparently, it says on the back here that this one is actually a remake of a 2003 RPG Maker game, which is really cool. I used to love checking out loads of RPG Maker games, but this one must have slipped by my radar. So it's cool that someone's actually gone ahead and remade an RPG Maker game in... I presume it's GB Studio as well, but let's see. We got a nice instruction manual there. Let's see if it's in colour. Oh, it's a really nice piece of artwork there as well. That's cool. And yeah, it's in green. There we go. We've got a little map screen. We've got some notes, some characters. Really nice illustrations on there. Very cool. And we have a melon green cartridge. I love that. There we go. And I should mention as well that on the back they all say limited run, which is really nice. Nice little touch. So let's check this out again. So I'm not really going to play too much of it now, but it seems really interesting. I love the really nice, clear, crisp pixel art graphics. And I just wanted to bring up that there is one game that I'm really excited about called Repugnant Bounty, which I actually played over on Twitch. That one's got picked up by Limited Run to get a physical release. So go and support Starlab and pre-order a copy of Repugnant Bounty while you still can. The orders are up until the 20th of August, I think, so by the time this is out, you've got about 15 days maybe. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you feel about limited run Game Boy games. Do you think they're worth purchasing? Do you think they're kind of pointless? Do you like the idea? Do you dislike the idea? Do you think you should just spend the extra money and get the originals instead? How do you feel about them becoming a publisher for homebrew games? Let me know your answers to all of those questions and more down below. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed taking a look at all of these different games right here. Please subscribe. Of course, check out Patreon to join everyone going across the side of the screen here. And if you want more Game Boy homebrew goodness, I know this wasn't entirely a Game Boy homebrew video, but if you do want more Game Boy homebrew goodness, click the playlist up here. I've done hundreds of videos on Game Boy games in the past. That is it for now. I'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.